Hello everybody, welcome back. So in this video we are going to join one Linux VM to one of our Windows domain here. As you can see here, this is our domain controller. I'll just highlight it as well. So this is our DC at the moment. Now this is our one Linux VM, which is Linux client 1, and it's linked to the Bastion network which we can use. Just coming back to here now, this is another Linux client 2 VM which we are going to join with the domain, which is here. The domain name is cloud.com. Let me just expand it. So this is the domain name cloud.com, and at the moment there's only one Linux client 1 connected, which is working, but at the moment now we are going to list another VM, which is, if I go back, yep. So as you can see, there is a client 1 and there should be another server client 2. So this time here we are going to link client 2 to the domain, which is cloud.com here, and I have got the steps here that we need to follow, and I'll put these steps in the description as well for anyone to copy. Alright, so I'll just briefly explain this one here. So these are the prerequisites that we need. So we need, of course, a new VM that is there created, and then we can go to the next steps. In this case here, I'm using a Rocky Linux. You can use Red Hat or you can use CentOS as well. Make sure that the VM is on the same network and you're able to ping the DC. I'll show you the example how it's working. You need to add the DNS entries, and you need to configure the correct DNS so it can communicate to the domain controller. You need to add the domain controller entry in the host entry as well for the Linux. Then we need to install the correct packages, and we'll just go through step by step on this one, and this is how we're gonna proceed further. Okay, so the first thing first, this is a newly created VM, which is the name is client Linux client 2. I have just gone ahead and updated everything, which is why it's working at the moment now. So I can just quickly proceed to the next step. Now, per the instructions here, we need to show that this is the. If we go back here to the DC1, which is here, we need to see if we are able to ping that DC from client 2. So we are able to ping the domain controller from client 2, and you'll be able to see that this is the same network where client 2 is also connected. And in here, since I've specified the DNS, you will be able to see the DNS server is the actual domain controller, which is DC01. So that is all working fine. What we need now, so this has been tested now, it's working. We need to add the DNS for the Linux IP for DC. So we use nmtui for example, so we can configure the DNS so it can communicate and query the username and groups and authentication. So nmtui, and it's under root. Perfect. Then we go to edit connection, and we go edit, and here we go for the right entry for DNS server, and we need to paste the IP address of the domain controller, which is 10.5.04, and we hit here save. Okay, so this is done now, which was the first step, I guess, here. And we can see here, for example, if that entry is added or not here. Perfect. So the name server is 10.5.04, which is the domain controller. As you can see, this is generated by the network manager, which is good. So at the moment now it's looking good. What we need now is to make sure that we can add the entry for the domain DC in the hosts as well, so we can ping forward and reverse. For example, if I do ping DC01 at the rate cloud.com, which is the domain, it's not working, but we can of course ping the IP because that's there now. So if I go vi, let's see, host, and I call I for insert. If I do DC to the IP walls, if I do DC01, resolv.conf, I think that should be able. Okay, so that is working now, as we have tested it now. We just need to install this package because this will have a lot of additional packages that we will require. Install epel-release yes. Okay, so this is all good now. So this is installed. All right, and of course, I mean, we have done that already, so this is just to show you the IP address. So we need to install the right package here now, and we need to use this command here, realmd, on the client server here. Yes. Perfect. So this looks like this is installed now, and of course we can run realm list to see if there's anything, if any domain is joined or not. It's not going to give you any output here now because nothing is joined, but we have to discover the domain first. So in here we can use realm discover, and we need to use the DC name or the IP address in our case. So it will be, in our case, will be simple realm discover and IP address. You can use the dc1.cloud.com as well, or you can use the IP address. Yeah, so we are able to discover our domain, which is exactly the same like we just checked before, which is coming from our DC01. So that means we are able to join now, and joining is pretty simple. We still would require some additional packages. We can just install this as well. So this is the package that is required for us. Perfect. So the required packages are installed now, and now we need to join it. And of course, you gotta use this command, command realm join client software SSD domain controller IP or the host name, and -u the username, and domain admin. In my case, I'll be using under the user cloud. This is the main. It's a member of the. It's a member of the administrator as well as the domain admins. So this is the main account I'll be using. So for this one, we will be using this command here. In our case, it will be realm join client software SSD and then the IP address of the domain controller and -user and in our case is the cloud user, and then we're going to give that password. Okay, so just trying to enter the password for domain admin. Perfect. So looks like this is joined now. So if I use list, it will be able to give me the domain name now. So this is showing that it's connected now to the domain. And in the meantime, we will be able to see under computers if I hit refresh. So the client 2 is added here now. So this is now joined to the domain. So which means if I come back here now, we just need to restart this SSD service here. Just additional step. systemctl restore SSD, or you can use the simple command as well, which is restart service. This is the service SSD restart. Now, in order to check the users, we need to run some commands so that we can confirm if it's working now. We can use ID, for example, cloud.com. This is one of the commands that we can use. We can use ID, and the username in our case is cloud. And we need to specify with the full name, with the full domain. As you can see, so right now it's giving the memberships of that user, group memberships. So ID at the cloud. In the meantime, let me see if I'm able to find any other user. So we do have one Linux user. So username is Linux. So if I run the command Linux ID Linux, and we specify the full domain name, and we can get the group membership of that user as well. So that means this is able to communicate to the DC, and it's working fine at the moment now. One thing we gotta do now further is if we want to, at the moment now, if I, let's say, if we switch user to, let's say, if I want to switch user to Linux, switch user Linux at cloud.com. Who am I? So this is the Linux user at the moment now. If I do sudo, alright, okay, so let me see if I'm able to run that command. I think now. Okay, password was incorrect. Okay, so this is not in the Sudoers file, so this means that even though the user account is still there, I will not be able to do some admin work. For example, let's say if I want to install any package or update, for example, in this case, so that it is saying that it needs to be run under super user privilege. Yeah. So at the moment now, I cannot do sudo. So that is the reason I need to, in our case, for example, let's say I have this one group here, which is Linux group, for example. Let's say if I want to add this group here in the Sudoers file, so that any members of this group will be able to run that sudo command. For example, if I just add Linux, if I find that user, so Linux user, so if I hit apply, once we add this Linux group under the Sudoers file, then we'll be able to see if that user is able to run that command or not as Sudoers. Alright, now coming back to this one here now. So we have tested if the user works now. Let's see if this works under running as an admin now. What we need to do is we need to first do vi, and let me exit because this is normal user. If I do vi sudo, if I do insert, I need to edit this file and I need to include under here my group member. So this is the Linux group. I'll just explain this as well. So what this is doing now, so this is our group name. I'll highlight it as well. So this is our group name, @domain.com, and then we specified all these parameters here and hit WQ. Looks like it's hanged. Okay. Let me refresh. Client 2. We quickly connect. Looks like it just got hanged. Alright, so go back to the root. Let's so if I go back again, and without this command, copy and paste. Okay, so it looks like that is there now. If I do systemctl SSD, so this is restarted now. Now that means I should be able to see and test that user now. So if I do su and then specify the Linux user, switch user Linux at resolv.conf. Okay, so this is switched to the user now. It is the one. So the one now. Okay, so if I enter the password for this user, so this is still complaining that I'm unable to use that. Let me give it a reboot. Oh yeah, this means that I accept. I think it's safe to say I can just restart it from here. I'll just pause the video, so when I'm back I'll just quickly restart it again. Alright, so it looks like this was just restarted now. So uptime is just a minute now. Alright, so after the restart, let's say I'm just logged in now as in the client user. And so if I do switch user, which is Linux, our normal user, cloud.com. I remember we were testing that this user Linux is a part of this Linux group now. So any user is a member of this group will have the Sudoers file. That means you can run sudo like as an admin, super user, and will be able to do pretty much everything under admin. I'll just quickly show what it means. So if I do a switch user and I just specify the password, so I'm able to switch user now. Who am I? That's the username. So if I do sudo who am I, it will be able to show me the permissions they have. So for example, if I do now sudo yum update, it should run without any issues. Now let's say in the future, if I try to add any new users, and if they want to have the admin rights, then I can always add them to this group here, which is the Linux group, or you can name it to any name you want. But the only thing important is that you need to specify the group in such a way that you can only grant those special group the right permissions that you want to manage. And at the same time, if the user, it's a good idea that the user work like this. For example, if the user want to switch to super user, then user is gone back to the root now, but this is hard to track sometime, then who's working and doing what. Yeah, so I think it's best idea to just follow that sudo and then whatever command that you want to run, and then based on that you can always take it from there. So this video was where we discussed joining a Linux VM with the Windows domain, and in this way you can add multiple servers as well based on whatever your requirements are. In our case, we just added 2 clients. That's pretty much it for today, and in the next videos we'll just I'll let you know how it goes. Probably in the next 3 or 4 days I'll be able to upload another video. Take care. Bye.